Hello everyone and welcome to our awkward travel chat. This is episode number 9. Today we will be talking about our trip to Bali and we will give you some tips and tricks and things you should know when you want to visit Bali.
Yep. We went in 2018?
We visited Bali in February of 2018.
That's what I thought, yeah. So we flew from Los Angeles. We went through Hong Kong on the way there.
The 15-hour flight. Flew to Denpasar, Bali, which is the main, it might be the only airport, but it's the international airport. That's where you're going to fly into when you go to Bali. That is in the Kuta region, kind of in southern Bali. It's pretty far south. And when we got there, we had already arranged a driver, which was pretty clutch.
Yeah, we find a lot of times in these foreign countries it gets kind of crazy, especially when you get off a really long flight like that. You haven't really slept. It's much easier to have.
Time change, you're exhausted.
Yeah,
so we were going to Ubud. Our first destination in Bali was Ubud. We were going to stay there for like 4 nights, I think.
Yep.
And we had our driver all set up. The thing about Bali is it's a big tipping culture as well. So like anybody who is going to help you with your bags there is going to expect a tip from you, whether you wanted the help or not.
Yeah.
They'll just take your bags and start walking.
That's a lot of countries, but Bali was definitely one of those, so you always got to be careful about that going out of the airport.
Our driver drove us to Ubud, and we were very surprised about the traffic in Bali.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's a very congested roadway. There aren't any good freeways or anything to keep traffic moving quickly. It's all just surface streets. I'll say it's a lot faster to get around on a scooter than a car, but we'll get into that a little bit later. All of the car traffic would just take so long to go anywhere. So coming from the airport, we had to do that with our big bags. So I think it was probably about an hour and a half. So we stayed in an Airbnb in Ubud. Like Kelly said, we had that for 4 days. I think it was like $30 a night US, or like
it was
35.
pretty inexpensive, but it was kind of like a hotel. It wasn't like a house or an apartment we stayed in.
Bali is very affordable for accommodation. You can get some really nice places. So this place that we stayed had its own like infinity pool, and it overlooked the jungle.
The room was very simple. Simple room, simple bathroom. It had a nice balcony that had a really cool jungle view with nice jungle sounds and palm trees and everything. That was one of my favorite parts. And then up on the top level of the hotel was
that infinity pool.
Yeah, the infinity pool, which was really cool, which had the jungle view.
It included breakfast as well, so that was really cool. They would bring it to your room every day. That was included in the rate. So
it's safe for women to travel by herself. For Bali, I think lots of women travel there by themselves. I am not a solo traveler, and so I can't speak to where is safe to travel because I don't do that research. Bali, once you get there, is very affordable.
Yeah, it's super cheap. I mean, you can get really nice meals for a couple bucks a meal.
I mean, relatively speaking, coming from the U.S.
Yeah. I would just, if you're trying to do Bali on a budget, find the cheapest ticket. That's going to be the biggest thing for you. Is the ticket to Bali is going to be expensive. It's like Kelly said, it's 15 hours to Hong Kong, another 5 hours from there if you're flying from Los Angeles. So
depending on where you're coming from.
Yeah,
that's
like I said,
that's going to be your biggest
from Los Angeles. But just try to find a good deal on that. I'd start there if you're trying to do it on a budget. Everything else, once you get there, you can do super cheap if you want to.
You can do it. You just have to make sure you're researching.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we spent 4 nights in Ubud. We went to the, I don't even know, the famous rice terraces there.
Yeah.
Tagalang.
But it's north of Ubud, like 20 minutes or so. Super famous rice terrace, so we went and explored that. Rented a scooter ourselves, left very early. Something that was nice about this trip is the jet lag kind of worked in our favor, so we woke up a lot earlier than we normally do, but that was good to get out and avoid the heat of the day and get to some of these photo locations before things got busy with tour buses and stuff like that. So that was the case of this rice terrace.
We went to the rice terraces early. And in February, it's kind of the same when we went to Bora Bora. That's the humid, like rainy season. It's not Bali's rainy season, but it's the hot and humid season. So it was nice to get to places early because it was a lot cooler.
Yeah, midday was pretty tough there.
Yeah.
But I think we got there at maybe 6:30 or 7 in the morning, and there was nobody there. We parked and kind of walked our way down, and we maybe saw like one other group of people that were out taking photos, and an old man that was like tending the terraces.
Yeah, other than that, it was, you've seen these rice terraces on Instagram, I'm sure. There was nobody there, and it was really nice and shady, not in the heat of the sun yet. And even if you go later in the day, there will be people there to charge you money to get in, like charge you admission, and there was nobody there to do that. It's kind of an unofficial thing they do.
Yeah, we saw that on the way out, and I think we were there for about 2 hours walking around, and then on the way out there were people that were charging people coming in, but we didn't see any of them. I think if you just go early enough, you can get away without paying. And then we flew the drone around a little bit. One thing to be aware of is it is very muddy, so wear some good shoes that you probably don't mind getting super muddy or ruined.
Well, the rice terraces are water, basically, so it's a lot of mud.
We stayed in Ubud for 4 days. That was really nice. We actually went back to the rice terraces the next morning because I wanted to fly the drone a little more. I think Kelly stayed in and
I didn't go back.
And rested. But we did some other really cool things in Ubud as well. There's this ridge walk that's just outside of town, which is also very famous on Instagram. So we went there the first day, and that was really cool. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it because I'll butcher it, but that was another...
Campuan?
Yeah, Campuan Ridge, I think.
Yeah. We went early that day too, and there were, I wouldn't say quite a few, but there were...
More than expected.
There were people. A lot of people taking Instagram photos. Yeah. Like, Bali is the Instagram mecca.
Yeah, there's a ton of people that are digital nomads that live there. Lots of people like to travel there because it's very beautiful and very cheap. A lot of people, flying drones, taking photos at 7 in the morning, which is kind of crazy. We're not super used to that, but it was cool to see. We also went to the monkey forest in Ubud. So there's one very famous monkey sanctuary that is in Ubud. It's the most famous one in all of Bali. But it's a Hindu temple, and it's also a nature preserve, so you pay, I think it was $5 or $6 US. There's the different ruins laid around. I don't know if it's like a temple that they actively used. It might have been more of a historical site. But you see all these monkeys that are just running around these temples and all these statues and different things. And it's really cool. The monkeys, however, are a little
aggressive.
A little aggressive. There are definitely a lot of tourists that come in, and you gotta be a little prepared for what you're walking into. So you don't want to have any plastic water bottles. The monkeys will just come and grab that right from you.
Yeah, anything that looks like food, anything that you might have food in, anything sticking out of your backpack or bag, they'll come and steal it from you. They're pretty aggressive.
Yeah, and we knew, we had read that going into it, and there's a bunch of signs that say, make sure you don't have any, sparkly jewelry on that the monkeys might want to take, because they'll come and they'll just jump right up on your back. And we weren't expecting that, but it happened, and I swear the monkeys planned this out, because they jumped on our backs, both of us at the same time. So we're both trying to, get the other one off of each other, and they're getting into my backpack. I had my GoPro with a yellow pole sticking out of it, and they wanted that yellow pole, and they went into her little pocket that wasn't zipped up and took, what did they take? Some makeup or something like that?
Yeah, it was crazy. They just take whatever. If they think, I don't know if they like to do it or they think it's food or what. But.
Yeah, probably they're associating plastic with food, so that might be part of it. But so Monkey Forest was definitely a trip.
They're all.
It's cool for sure, but we saw somebody get bit.
Yeah, someone got bit.
Yeah.
It's I didn't care for the monkeys too much, but the scenery was really cool at the jungle. It was lots of cool carvings and statues and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's monkeys hundreds everywhere. And at one point we saw a little monkey fight, and I bet you there was over 100 monkeys that were running around in this little brawl and scattering, and it was just it's their territory. You're just kind of hanging out on the outside. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's worth it to go. I just didn't care for the monkeys too much.
Yeah, they also hang out outside of the sanctuary too, so it's kind of a protected area, but there's no gates, so they can just go wherever they want. And so we ate a couple days later. We went back and went to an Indian restaurant that was right next to it.
Yeah, it was not far from the sanctuary.
And there were monkeys that were like running on the power lines next to us, and you could tell that the people that worked at the restaurant were like getting ready with brooms to be like, get out of here, you know, because they would just come right up. So it was interesting. Definitely a cool part of the experience. Made me feel a little bit like Indiana Jones with all these crazy monkeys running around causing mischief.
Ubud is cool though. It's, I would say, the cultural center of Bali. It's, the beach towns have more surfers and more expats from like Australia. Ubud had more of a Balinese feel. There's a lot of temples, a lot of jungle, a lot of really cool hotels, a lot of good places to eat. Very jungly. Did I say that already?
Yeah, definitely more on the temple side of things. We saw a ton of temples. They're everywhere. Goa Ganja Temple, which was just outside of town, and there's this really cool cave that you can go into, and it's got this big mouth of this big Balinese Hindu god, and that was really neat to see. We saw some water temples as well. We did rent a car one day. We rented a driver one day to head out. I think it was $50 US for a full day, and they covered the gas and took us wherever we wanted to go. It was a private car. You definitely could have done it cheaper, but we just wanted to do that to...
Yeah, I would not recommend renting a car in Bali. Like, the traffic was...
It was bad.
Horrible.
You can walk faster.
Actually, literally, you can. At one point, literally, we looked, and it said that where we were going was 6 miles away. It took us an hour and a half in a car, in a taxi. So scooter is definitely the way to go.
But the scooter riding is like not for beginners. Yeah. It is very, very aggressive. Like the scooters will go the wrong way down one-way streets and in and out of traffic. And I remember at one point I saw this guy who I assume was American. He had a Harley Davidson shirt on, which means that he probably rides motorcycles. And he was waiting to like pull out into traffic with his girlfriend on the back, and he was just sweating, like just freaking out, looking back and forth, being like, "Oh my God, what am I supposed to do here?" Because it's pretty crazy. I mean, if you've ever rode a scooter and
the traffic rules do not apply.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. But another thing is the scooters aren't in the best condition, the ones that you really rent. So a lot of times they don't come with any gas. We ran out of gas a couple times
with scooters that we rented.
Yeah, so.
Best month to visit. February was the low season, but also, like I said, it was very, very hot and humid. I know peak season with the best weather is in summer, but that's also when you're going to get the crowds, and it's already crowded in Bali. So other than that, I'm not sure. I can just speak to when we were there, which was not so many crowds, but very, very humid, which at some points it was too hot.
Yeah. Like I said, we rented that car and we went out to Lempuyang Temple, which is very famous. And we went there mainly just to get this view. There's a volcano in the background. The clouds were a little full that day, so you couldn't really see the volcano that we really wanted to, but we still got some really cool photos there. We also tried some luwak coffee, which is also known as like Indonesian poop coffee, which is kind of crazy.
Yes, it's something about this type of animal that
it's called luwak, and it's like.
However, after we had this, we didn't seek out this experience. Our driver just kind of led us into it, which happens sometimes. After having this experience, we realized that the animals aren't treated in the best way, so I don't recommend seeking out this experience.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't have gone for it if we knew that it was happening, but it's kind of like this little animal like a raccoon that apparently eats these coffee beans, and then they digest them, and something happens to the bean while it's digested, and then they poop them out, and the people go and get the beans out and roast them and make coffee out of it. And it's supposed to be this crazy, delicious coffee. And I tried it. I don't think Kelly did, and it wasn't anything.
I tried it.
You tried it?
Yeah. It wasn't anything
special.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was anything. It was just overpriced, weird, earthy coffee.
It's not a responsible thing to do because of the way they treat the animals.
Second part of our trip, we stayed, like Kelly said, we stayed about 4 days in Ubud. We went down to the beach for the other 4 days. So Changu was our first stop. I think we stayed there 2 nights or 3 nights maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Changu was probably my favorite place. We went to all the tourist hotspots just because it was our first time there.
Yeah.
And they were all very crowded in general. There are places in northern Bali and southern Bali you can get to that don't have as many crowds. So maybe next time we go, we'll try those places.
Yeah, we definitely want to go back because there's a lot of stuff that we didn't see that we'd really like to. But we went to Changu and stayed with the Chill House, which was a hotel that is very photogenic, and we actually worked with the hotel, which was pretty nice.
Yeah, that's on Instagram a lot too. The Chill House, surf hotel, I think.
Yeah, surf retreat, surf hotel. But it's not right on the beach. It's a couple miles away. But the beach that is down by the Chill House is really beautiful. And we went down there a couple nights to watch the sunset. I remember the first night we got like a mile down the road. We rented a scooter, got about a mile down the road, and ran out of gas. And we were like in a parking lot looking around trying to figure out what to do. And some like guy that was a security guard or something from the area was just like, oh, hop on the back of my scooter and we'll go buy some gas. And
so he did that.
I hopped on and left her there, and he went so fast. And I remember like getting my helmet, and he's like, no, you don't need that. And so like we didn't have helmets on, we were just going super fast. And to get gas in Bali, they sell it in like old, like what looks like vodka bottles, just at little convenience stores, which are more.
They're like 1 liter plastic.
1 liter plastic things,
bottles.
and you go and you to like a little convenience store or like a little shack on the side of the road, and you buy some gas and throw it in your vehicle, and then you go. And I remember that experience very well. I tried to like throw him a couple bucks for his help because he really bailed us out, and we still made it down for sunset, but he wouldn't take any. He was a super nice guy. All the people in Bali were really nice.
Yeah.
But the sunsets down at Echo Beach by Old Man Surfing Area were just insane. Really beautiful sunsets.
Yeah, Bali has really good sunsets.
Yeah, and it was a great surfing beach. So over the next couple days, I did some surfing, and we hung out by the beach. We ate some really good food.
Yeah, Bali, it's kind of been taken over by Australian expats, and they've opened a lot of amazing cafes and things like that. You've seen them all over Instagram. It's crazy. They're so inexpensive, at least coming from the U.S. And it's a lot of Western food, but it's incredible, like organic, vegan, vegetarian,
really high quality stuff.
High quality.
Super cheap. A lot of smoothie bowls and vegan restaurants.
Yeah, so tasty. And you can get a full amazing meal for like $4 USD. So in Changu, we were there for a few days. We pretty much just ate at amazing restaurants and hung out at the beach. You can rent umbrellas and beach chairs on the beach for like a few dollars.
Yeah, a couple bucks for a day.
Half a day or a whole day. And rent surfboards really easily.
Yeah, I think it was like $2 an hour or something. It was really cheap.
There's a lot of really popular beach clubs on the beaches there. Oh man, I can't even think of what a lot of them are called. There's La Laguna.
Yeah, I think we had dinner there one time, but most of it was just a lot of relaxation and hanging out by the beach, which is really nice if you want that, because we were pretty aggressive on our first couple days of visiting temples and getting up and going to rice terraces first thing in the morning. So it was nice to kind of break up the trip and have a little bit of chill time.
Yeah, so those are really popular. Some of them have like even pools you can swim in, and you can get drinks, and there's music, and it's just
cool
a
spot.
lot of expats hang out there to kind of relax and party.
Yep. And then after a couple days, we were coming to the end of our trip, but we wanted to go to the island of Nusa Penida for a day trip and see some of the sights over there. And that was a bit of a challenging day, to say the least. Things didn't go quite as planned, but I remember we woke up at 6 in the morning, got picked up, it's probably like 6 in the morning, 6:30, and took a very crammed taxi to the port, which was only 6 miles away, like Kelly said, but it took over an hour to get there. And they crammed in a ton of people into this car. Like, I think there was like 8 or 9 of us in like a 6-seater car.
Yeah, it was
it
not safe, and not comfortable at all.
Yeah, and it was hot.
Really,
That was the start of it. And then we took a pretty quick 45-minute boat shuttle over to the island.
Which is very loud and very windy, and very bumpy.
They were playing like electro music the whole time.
Yeah, it was not relaxing at all.
It was a lot for very early in the morning.
Yeah.
And then we rented a scooter from a gas station, which I'm pretty sure it was just somebody that like owned the gas station or lived nearby. Was like, yeah, take my scooter for the day. Yeah, sure. Like, I didn't fill out any paperwork. I just handed them some money.
On Nusa Penida Island.
Yeah, and Nusa Penida is what a lot of people call the real Bali now, because it's very underdeveloped. There's not a lot of people that live there. It's very beautiful, but there isn't a lot of infrastructure. So the roads driving around Nusa Penida were terrible. I've heard in the last couple of years they made them a little better. But
yeah, I've heard that too, that they've redone.
But they were so bad.
It was hard to drive the scooter, and that was the other time that we ran out of gas.
Yep.
Because the gas gauge did not work.
Yep. Yeah.
And we were like in the middle of nowhere on the island.
Yeah.
On a hill.
So yeah, we ran out of gas, and we were trying to get back. This was later in the day, and I remember we put our bags down on the ground and put our helmets down. There's nothing around, no houses or anything like that. Pushed the scooter to the top of this hill, and I started coasting down the hill, leaving Kelly behind just to try to find like something. And the first farm that I came across, they didn't speak any English, and I somehow communicated that I needed gas, and luckily I had cash, and they had some gas, and they helped me out, and we got back on the road. But
yeah,
it
we're
could
really
have
lucky
been
that that
really
person was
bad
there.
because I mean, there's nothing around for miles and miles, so
yeah,
it was really
we were
lucky.
really lucky.
That we could have been stuck there for the
There
night.
was that, and then it was again super hot and humid and uncomfortable, and I ate something that did not agree with me.
She had a little case of Bali belly.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh man, that was just not.
Yeah, so we wanted to go to Kekaling Beach, which is also known as T-Rex Beach. It's very famous and really beautiful, and so we made the trek there. It was about 45 minutes on these really rough roads, and Kelly wasn't feeling well, and I had just gotten a drone recently, and I was flying it over, and my phone was kind of old at the time, so it wasn't quite updated enough to have the live stream of...
It glitched out.
Yeah, it glitched out whenever I use it. And if you ever fly drones, you know that the phone is the way that you see and control pretty much everything. So long story short, it glitched out. I was a very new, very beginner drone flyer, and I flew it backwards and crashed it on the edge of this cliff that was 1,000 feet high, and there was no way for me to go get it.
Yeah,
it was just a really...
It was so sad.
It was a really
such a
sad
bummer.
day. It was a super bummer.
It was very long and very hot and I wasn't feeling well, and then he was sad from the drone, and then we ran out of gas, and it was just like
it
this
was a
whole...
tough day.
It was very challenging. Beautiful, beautiful. I definitely recommend going to Nusa Penida. I might stay a night there next time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Plan out the day.
Plan it better
yeah.
or something. But I think it was just kind of a culmination of a bunch of bad things that happened. But it was really beautiful, and still glad that we went and did it.
So, oh man, that was a tough day. And it pretty much took up the whole day. And then when we got back, it took so long to get back to the hotel. I think at that point we were staying in Seminyak.
Yeah, we had moved just down the beach a little bit from Changu to Seminyak.
Yeah, we stayed in Changu for a few days, and then stayed in Seminyak for a few days, and they're not that far from each other. You can easily ride. That's pretty easy to ride a scooter in between those two because they're so close.
Yeah.
But Seminyak is a little bit bigger of a town, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Has more
restaurants, more hotels, more beach clubs, stuff like that.
Yes, it's more crowded though.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Changu because it was a little quieter than Ubud and
yeah, this is pretty cool.
Seminyak.
But that was pretty much the end of our trip. We hopped a flight back to Hong Kong, and I think we spent a night in Hong Kong, which was nice to kind of break up the trip a little bit, and flew back to Los Angeles. So
yes, so Ubud, Changu, Seminyak, those were the places we visited. They are the major tourist centers. crowded just because they are tourist centers. In the south, you're going to have Uluwatu, and that's where your luxury resorts mainly are. Your Ritz-Carltons, Four Seasons, St. Regis, all those. Northern Bali is going to be more remote, less people, lots of lush waterfalls, jungles. That's where the volcanoes are. I don't know. I don't think there's much beach access up there. The best beaches are going to be probably Changu and Seminyak and down in Uluwatu as well, which we didn't get to see.
Yeah.
Hopefully next time.
I think we would go back to Bali absolutely and explore more of the north side of the island and some things that we did. There's so much stuff to see. There's so many beautiful waterfalls and temples and
yeah.
I mean,
we were there for 10 days and we didn't even hardly scratch the surface.
Barely.
Even though it's such a small island, there's so many beautiful features. They call it the Island of the Gods. Yeah. And I was just surprised about how crowded it was. I from Instagram, and everybody loves it so much. I feel like I had this idea that it was going to be more like paradise, and it was great. It was beautiful and very culturally rich and everything, but it was just way more crowded than I thought. So be aware of that if you want to go to Bali, which you should. Definitely recommend heading to Bali, and you need minimum a week. Minimum. At the very least.
Very minimum. Probably 2 is better.
You could spend a month there and not see everything.
I've talked to people who've like, I lived there for 5 months and I still didn't go and see that temple that we went to or whatever. You know, there's so much that you can do. So
yeah, a lot of people move to Bali just because it's so
you can get
cost effective.
You can get a little apartment for a month or bungalow or whatever for very, very inexpensive. So
and good. It is the Instagram mecca, so you can go and take Instagram photos forever.
Yep. So definitely go to Bali. Beware of the monkeys. They're sneaky. Yeah. Beware of the scooter riding. It is treacherous. Eat a lot of really good food. See a lot of cool temples. Go swim in some waterfalls. It's a great time.
If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much if you made it through this whole video. Hopefully we made it worth your time and made it have a lot of information about these destinations that we visited. And if you liked it, thumbs up it. If that's a verb, I think, right?
Yeah, sure.
And if you're not subscribed, what the heck are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss these travel chats, or we have lots of good travel videos coming up and you don't want to miss those, right? So also hit that little bell this is the bell.
Yeah.
Hit the little bell notification. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and we will see you next week.
All right. Bye.